All right, short reviews for September 28th. Now, I've just finished the top 20 of the month, so I'm pretty tired and just kind of hitting out a lot of these videos. So, the big thing here is that we're getting to a couple of things that I didn't get around to at the end of the month, and then we're going to cut into brand new October releases that are a little bit weird, a little bit interesting, and mostly pretty cool. So, Moonlight Sorceries, Horned Lord of the Thorn Castle is the debut full-length album from this band, and this is a Tampere, Finland-based trio who I don't know if they have a dedicated drummer, but their style has changed kind of dramatically over the course of the last year. And this record, it warrants talking about. They've kind of become this shred all the time kind of what we used to call like Finnish melodic black death metal, but it's really just power metal, but in a with a little bit of a black or a death metal affect to it. So there is a bit of Moon Sorrow in their DNA. There's a little bit of early, if you like Swamp Lord era Kalma, the anything from the early Kalma discography, as well as Northern and Winterson, those records that had power metal in them. That's why I don't really listen to Children of Bodom, and this isn't really that kind of thing. This is something that is more related to, like again, like power metal, neoclassical shred, lots of guitar. There's a little bit of Windir in there, a little bit of Old Man's Child. There's certainly a bit of more Emperor in their first EP, less so since then. And this record in general is exuberant. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of exhausting for its 45 minutes. I wanted to write a full review, but I really just didn't have anything new or interesting to say about this record other than I think that it does belabor the point a little bit with the shred, but it also shows off in a really a classic way that a lot of people really loved back in the early 2000s. And I think that a lot of people will love to kind of rediscover that style through this record now. And it does feel like it's a classic Finnish metal kind of thing. And hopefully they keep it in the realm of black metal tight enough to where it remains interesting to me. Because once it moves on to like melodic metal territory, we'll see. But for now, I think this is I hate to say it, it's kind of a fun record. And I think yeah, a lot of people are going to enjoy it. Dwall's Never Enough. Basically, it iterates on what this Norwegian band did with their last record, but this one feels funereal. It feels even darker and more depressive. It's no longer quite the atmospheric sludge and kind of post-doom metal band. Now it feels like a sludge metal band that are creeping towards a kind of like a funeral doom-esque pacing. There's a couple of really crushing pieces on here that kind of move in an interesting way. And they have some keyboards on songs, which I think really works for this style. So I like this record more than Gospel of the Vile, but for different reasons. I don't think they do the post-metal or post-rock influenced thing all that well, but it is a nice contrast to the more blunt kind of atmospheric sludge sound that they pull off. So I was a little bit all over the place when examining this record, but overall I did enjoy it, but it never found that hook. It was just kind of a brutal, cold, and frustrated thing that happened. Dead Obelisk is the first official recording from Come Horrid Sigil. This is a band from F Funds, who is a former guitarist who played on the first two Black Breath records. A Seattle area band who are known for their death metal meets crossover sound in the 2010s. The vocalist from that band also joins him for this EP, and it is more in the style of Swedish death metal in the most classic sense. They take very obvious nods to At the Gates in the beginning of this record, and then they touch upon their background in crossover thrash, crust punk, and that heavier sound that is around today. Now, this is easy to get into and enjoy for me because I love this style of music, but it sounds like most of the instrumentals on this record are performed by Guitar Pro, and that's not a problem for me. I love that kind of thing, and it relates to a lot of the chip tunes and kind of things I enjoy, which are very similarly composed, but it would really benefit from all a live recording, and still there's a lot to enjoy here. So I like the songwriting, I like the vibe that they're putting off. The fact that it is already this strong with this render is a testament to that they need to push it further and keep going with their sound. So I enjoyed it. I want to hear more, and we'll see what they do. The debut solo record, a double LP from Linus Klausenitzer, Tulpa, is a progressive metal record from a guy who is known for two worlds. One is his work in Obscura and Alkaloid and Obsidious, which is the tech and progressive death metal realm, where he is known as a fretless bassist who is quite, incredible in his performances. On the other hand, he plays in like prog and power metal bands like Eternity's End. So, in a lot of ways, he's got both worlds in his hand, the same way Phil Tuga kind of has with First Fragment and his other bands in death metal. Uh, this is a very different artist, and I would say this record is very accessible in a lot of its intent, and it isn't really, hey, let's show off what a great bassist I am. It's more, let's just write a ton of very involved songs with a lot of very proficient musicians and get the best song out of it. Now, this doesn't lead to a style that I'm very much into. It is a mix of modern progressive metal, progressive death metal, intensity, and some heavy progressive power metal style music that is focused on the sort of melodies you find in modern melodic metal. So it's really a little bit more accessible on the side when it turns to melody and that kind of thing. So it wasn't really my thing, but I love fretless bass guitar playing. I love bass guitars and people who play them. So this was a really entertaining thing for in that sense. It's still not really my thing, but I could appreciate the depth, and this isn't just another, hey, let's make uh, a solo record to sell guitars. This felt like it was a real attempt to do something with his interests that fused those two worlds, and I think that the theme is pretty interesting. I wish the art direction was a little bit more detailed, but overall, a pretty cool thing from this fantastic musician. Koniak Wakash is the latest album from Gruzcha. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. I think Polish is an incredible language that I've never had a moment to learn, and it's too bad because I feel like records like this make me want to know more about what the nuances of what these guys are singing about and talking about, because they've made such an insane album here that is it's sort of metal punk, it's kind of groove, it's got a lot of electro pop, and just things happening all over the place, and a lot of it is very vulgar and has big nasty grooves, and it's just all over the place, and it's kind of great. They take a lot of strange risks and sounds. They play with texture and noise and rhythm in a way that is, it's evocative of a lot of the other work they've done in black metal groups elsewhere. So this is a great record. It's crazy as hell, but it's hard to recommend to the average person because it's all over the place. It's so manic, and it is just outraged in everything that it does, that I think to recommend this to the general public is to insult them, and so for me, it is something I'll go back to quite often because it is so interesting and so colorful and strange. So definitely something for me, but maybe not something for everyone out there. I still recommend you give it a try. Descendants is the debut album from Eradicated. Technically, it's their second record. They used to go under another name, The Generations Army, and they put out a record back in 2017, but this is in a little bit different style. It is very straightforward, kind of arena level thrash that is influenced by the Bay Area and the German side of things, where there's a lot of Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, and especially Sodom in their songwriting. They really just hammer out these songs one after another. They slow down for a kind of Seasons in the Abyss style song later on, but overall, this is just too much of a hammer. There's never any relenting to it, and it's not all that creative. Now they're professional. They're very well played. They are really on point with every aspect of this record. It's just that it just has nothing all that interesting to say, and I think that they've worked at this so hard that they don't really have any artistry to it. And I'd like to see, where does the personality show up beyond the chunking, triplet fed sort of grooving thrash metal made for the arena. So cool thing. I don't think that it has enough of a reason to sort of get out there, but I like. I love this style. I like what they're doing. I just think that they need to put their own spin on it that is more interesting. So while I really do like this latest EP from Moragtong, a London, England-based sort of post or atmospheric doom metal band, it doesn't really compare to their 2018 full length. Last Knell of Ohm was this really interesting sort of psychedelic rock influenced sludge metal record that was all those things but something on of its own. And this EP is more of a standard post metal affected doom metal record that follows a pretty standard post metal influenced crescendo-esque distance in the way that it comes together. What saves it is there's a couple of songs on here that are kind of a pallbearer-esque sound that is memorable and emotive in an interesting way. I liked the way that this record started out, but the 20-minute song at the end is a little bit belabored, and Passages doesn't quite come together as a more aggressive song. So I like the way that the band has expanded their repertoire and changed their sound quite a bit to tighten things up and make it sound more professional. But we're missing kind of the enjoyment and the strangeness of their debut full length, which is a shame. But this is still an enjoyable result. So I couldn't really fault them too much for changing.